Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm super excited because I'm going to be talking about a topic that is very close to my heart, and that is perfumes and fragrances. But in particular, I'm going to be talking about oud, and oud is by far the most luxurious ingredient in fragrances that exists to date. And it's one of my most favorite ingredients because of its sillage. So oud has the biggest sillage known to date, I would say. And what I mean by sillage is the trail of the perfume. So a perfume with a big sillage means that it lasts a very, very long time, and its scent journey will last several hours on your skin. So in today's day and age, especially with the situation going on with COVID, I would highly recommend that you invest in perfumes that have a very powerful sillage, because you want to be noticed and you want people to smell you even when they're social distancing 2 meters away from you, or even now wearing face coverings or face masks. So if you're new here, I'm Arib, and I'm currently doing a PhD in chemistry at the University of Cambridge, and I want to basically discuss fragrances and perfumes with you all, but with a slight twist. So given that I'm doing a chemistry PhD, I want to inform you all about the science and the chemistry that goes behind perfumes and fragrances. There's so much more to perfumes and fragrances that you guys may not know about, and I want to go above and beyond the standard fragrance blogger or fragrance reviewer, because in my opinion, there's so much more to fragrances that meets the eye, or should I say meets the nose. I would say there's so much art that goes into extracting raw ingredients and making them work, and also making them have powerful olfactory properties. So if you're interested in fragrances and perfumes, I'll be doing a whole series on this entire topic. So make sure you subscribe to this channel. But otherwise, I will also be discussing topics relating to fashion, grooming, and lifestyle, and also self-improvement. So I want to show you all that you can have an academic path and an academic training, but also at the same time be interested in everything regarding fashion, grooming, and just general tips on how to improve your well-being. So with that, let's get straight into the discussion about oud. So oud actually means wood in Arabic. Most of you guys may be familiar with common brands like Gucci, Tom Ford, and Roja perfumes. These are brands that have capitalized on the oud ingredient, but in actual fact, oud has been around for many, many years, and it was actually first extracted and used in incense in central Vietnam in the 3rd century. However, I'm sure most of you guys know that oud is commonly used and a huge part of the Middle Eastern culture, and it's a huge part of the day-to-day life. Both men and women in the Middle East will douse themselves in the oud oil, but also around the house, Arabs use another form of oud, which is known as bakur, and bakur is basically the oud wood, either in the pure form or wood which has been soaked in oud essential oil. So what they do with this oud wood is they basically place it into a oud wood burner, and then they go around the house with this burner and basically spread the aroma of the oud around the entire property. And this basically causes the house to smell like incredible, and the aroma actually lasts several days, if not like a week. So I actually also have a bakur burner, or like a oud wood burner, which is in the corner over here. So then in the central part you have the coal, and then you just basically place the oud wood on top of the coal, and then it releases a lot of smoke. So I'm currently burning some right now, but it's been burning for the past like 10 minutes. So just as a tip, when you're applying fragrances, particularly those that contain oud, I would burn some oud wood on this burner, or on a burner, and then just waft the aroma or the smoke onto your clothes, because that way you would get a much more powerful scent that people won't be able to get over. And that's a common thing that people do in the Middle East. So oud is one of the most expensive raw ingredients in the world, and it's literally like liquid gold in the fragrance industry. It can cost up to like £100,000 for like a kilogram of the pure oil once it's been extracted. The reason why it's so expensive is down to 2 reasons. The first is because of the rarity of the ingredient, and the second is due to the fact that
no scientist to date has been able to create a synthetic replica of oud.
So basically no scientist has been able to crack the code of oud. So oud actually comes from the Aquilaria tree, also known as the agar tree, and these trees are basically found in Southeast Asia. Obviously, depending on the geographical location of the tree, the oud scent differs slightly. So in India, the oud scent is more fruity floral and slightly musky, whereas in Cambodia and Indonesia, the oud scent is more smoky and woody. So depending on where you get the oud from, the scent profile can differ drastically. Going back to why it's so expensive. I mentioned one reason is because it's so rare. And the reason why it's so rare is because only 2% of Aquilaria trees produce the oud resin from which the oud oil can be extracted from. In order for trees to produce this resin, the tree needs to be infected. And this infection, which originates from a fungus, generates a mold. And this causes the tree to induce a damage response. Once the tree has started to go along this damage response, it starts to produce this dark, oily resin. And within this resin is where you find the oud oil. So once the oud oil has been generated, that's when all of the excitement and all of the chemistry begins. So for me, that's the most exciting part because obviously I'm a chemist by training. And this entire process I'm going to discuss in a bit more detail now relies on chemical principles and a lot of chemistry. So the way that oud oil is extracted from the tree relies on a process known as distillation. So in India, Cambodia and Vietnam, they use a process known as hydrodistillation, whereas in Indonesia, they use a process known as forced steam distillation. But the underlying principles of both methods are identical. So what distillation is, it's a process that basically separates components from a mixture based on their boiling points or based on how volatile the compounds are. The resin extraction happens many times. It's repeated over and over again, but the first batch of oud oil that is extracted from the resin is the most potent and by far the most expensive oud oil that you can get. So if we go into a bit more detail about the whole process, what happens is the agar wood is first soaked in water for several months. And what this achieves is you get all of the ingredients or all of the essential oils out of the wood into the water. This water, along with the wood, is then put into a huge vat and the water is then boiled. So once the water, along with essential oils, evaporates, it is then cooled down later on through condensation. And what happens is the oils and the water is then collected in a separate vat. And because of the different densities of the water and the oils, the two solutions are decanted. Once this happens, you're then left with the pure goodness that people die over and I am obsessed over. Like, I can't get enough of oud oil, and a lot of my perfumes that I own contain this raw ingredient because I'm literally obsessed. So oud oils have a distinct smell. So this can be attributed to the chemical compounds that they contain. The organic compounds that oud contains are known as terpenes and terpenoids. So terpenes are made up of 5 carbon units. So these units are known as isoprene units. So for the non-chemist, what I would say is just think of them as like little Lego blocks. So one Lego block is a chain of 5 carbon atoms. And then this is basically repeated many times to get different terpenes of different lengths. And each of these terpenes have a distinct smell and a distinct aromatic property. As I mentioned in my previous video regarding perfumes, perfumes are prone to oxidation, and in the presence of light and just general atmospheric conditions, these terpenes or chemical compounds can be oxidized. So when they react with oxygen in the air, they oxidize to form terpenoids. And these again have their own distinct aromatic properties. So from my previous video, I mentioned that you should be storing your perfumes and fragrances in a cool, dark place. And this is so you prevent any unnecessary oxidation from occurring, because you don't want your perfume to be degrading over time and then becoming less valuable and less pleasurable. So coupled with the geographical source of the oud wood, along with the various rates of oxidation of the terpenes and terpenoids contained within the oud oil, you can get a huge array of different scent profiles from the oud itself. I think this is incredible because you will never get bored of oud because there's so much choice out there and so much variety that even if you did eventually encounter all of the oud scent profiles at some point, what you can do is even layer the different ouds together, and by that you're creating an infinite amount of options available to you. Something that I also learned whilst making this video is that oud oils age. Just like you can get meats which age over time, or even like wine that ages over time. So if you have an oud bottle that smells differently to what it was like when you first bought it, that's absolutely normal. As long as it doesn't smell awful or doesn't smell like it's gone off, I would say it's perfectly fine, because some oud oils actually age gracefully over time and they become even more luxurious or even more potent, meaning that they will last even longer on your skin or on your body. So if that's something that has happened to you, I wouldn't be worried, or I wouldn't be concerned. And in actual fact, some ouds are meant to age. So what some perfumers do is they collect the essential oil from the agar wood and they store it for like 5 years. And over that time, the oud has developed into a more mature smell. That bottle that has been aged for 5 years can cost around like, I don't know, £10,000, which for a lot of people is ridiculous. But if you have the money to spend on oud that costs £10,000, then be my guest. Of the perfumes that I own currently behind me, this is just, I would say, a fraction of the perfume bottles that I have. But of the ones behind me, there's around 4 or 5 which contain oud. So my personal favorite perfumes that contain oud would be Oud Ispahan by Christian Dior, Satin Oud by Maison Francis Kurkdjian, Tom Ford Oud Wood, Roja Perfumes, which pretty much all contain oud, and Velvet Rose and Oud by Joe Malone. The ones that I'm about to show you from the shelf behind me are the ones that I found or sourced from Dubai. This bottle here, I don't know if you can see, it's called Violet Oud, and it's an eau de parfum, so it has a high concentration of perfume oils. This perfume has a more of a caramelly, like cinnamon undertone to it. It smells very sweet, which I'm a fan of, so that's why I bought it. But this is a great perfume, if you can get your hands on it. It's from the brand called Taif Al Emirat, so it's an Arabian brand. Yes, if you want to get your hands on this, I would recommend this perfume. Another bottle that I have is this pure oil. As you can see, it's just a very small bottle. It's like, I think, 30 ml. So this bottle is from Arabian Oud, which you can find on Oxford Street in London, but they also have many branches elsewhere internationally. So this is pure oud oil that you just normally need to dab like 1 drop onto your skin and you're set for the entire day. And it can even last a couple of days if you don't wash, but obviously I'd recommend that you do wash in that time. Another one of my absolute favorite pure oils would be this one over here. And if I open it up, it looks basically like this. So I'm just trying to hold it without it dropping. It has approximately like, I don't know, 3 ml. So this is again from, I believe, Saudi Arabia. I got it a long time ago and I don't use that much of it because it's so potent and very long lasting. So yeah, so again, it's a very strong, powerful, musky scent with a very sweet undertone. So this is actually a fragrance that they put in the mosque in Saudi Arabia. So if you're new to oud, I would say it's an acquired taste. I appreciate that it's not for everyone, and some of you guys may not like it. But for me personally, what happened with my journey with oud is initially I admired it, then I moved on and I was living for it, and now I literally have a hunger for it. Like I literally can't get enough of the smell. But if you're trying oud for the first time, I would take it slow. I wouldn't jump straight in and literally douse yourself with oud all over. I would say you want to get accustomed to the smell. Just imagine you're trying truffle for the first time. Like if you had too much truffle on your pizza, you would just be sick of it like instantly. So I would just take the journey slow, and then I'm certain a lot of you will grow into oud and eventually fall in love with the scent. Like I think it's one of the most incredible scents out there, and I don't think there will ever be anything that can outcompete it or beat it, in my opinion. But I'm open to any ideas if there is something that gets discovered down the line. If you are new to trying oud and you haven't tried it just yet, make sure you comment down below when you do get a fragrance that contains oud and let me know what your experience was, because I would love to hear how you felt when you tried on oud for the first time. Because for me, it was an incredible feeling that I couldn't get enough of. So with that, I would like to end with a quote about fragrances, and that is, "Scent is the strongest tie to memory." If you enjoyed watching this video and you learned something new, whether it was about oud or fragrances in general, make sure you give this video a like, and also comment down below what else you'd like to see about fragrances and perfumes on my channel, but also what your favorite fragrances containing oud are, because I'd love to increase my range of oud fragrances, and I'm sure there's fragrances that you guys may have that I may not have, and I'd love to get exposure to those and try them out and potentially also review them on this channel in later videos. So yeah, so make sure you do that. And otherwise, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys at the same place, same time next week. See you later. Bye, guys.